Hello everybody, Darren here, and welcome back to episode 68 in my second Let's Play series for Anno 1800. In the last episode, we completed the Skyline Tower and unlocked all the patents available for the various shopping arcades, effectively finishing the High Life DLC. Today, we're going to be beginning a big city overhaul project where I'm going to be moving the majority of the worker residents off of Swords and over to another island, Rush, while also improving our production chains in the process. Boom. So there we have it, it's the Skyline Tower, and we have some nice little ornaments here. So I've been busy at work, demolishing, downgrading, changing things around already, so right at the beginning of the episode, I have a lovely little time-lapse for you. Let's begin. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, as I so often say in these time-lapses, strap yourselves in, grab a bag of popcorn, or perhaps, if you're in the northern hemisphere like me, maybe a cup of tea, as it's getting a bit chilly. Because this is a fairly long time-lapse. We're going to be building multiple farmer villages, as well as beginning and starting on the central town for the workers. So out here, we've one of these farmer districts. I wanted to start off with the town hall, because we really want to squeeze the most we can out of these guys, because the island of Rush is predominantly focused on orchards as well as hunting cabins, which are all operated by farmers. So we really want to have a nice town hall encapsulating as many of these farmers out here as we can. And then of course I like to try and make the place look nice by laying them all out along the cliffs and then pushing my way in and then figuring out a sort of a puzzle of roads that leads towards the town hall or the marketplace or the pub, whatever it may be. And that way it just looks a little bit more organic rather than a purpose-built grid that's covered more optimally, of course, by a town hall or something like that. But I'm pretty happy with the layout I've got going on here. So the town hall's built. Later in the episode, by the way, I'll show you what items are in there, so I won't be redundant and talk about it now. And there's actually a cool little, almost visual Easter egg that I didn't know about one of the items that I end up putting in there, which is kind of cool. So I didn't really have a count of how many houses I needed. I was just building for aesthetics, really. And then the idea is, even though this whole episode is based on moving workers across from Swords over to Rush, and the next two episodes are going to be all about that. We finally get it done in the next two, I think. Actually, not the next two, this one and the next one. That'll be it, yeah. It's almost like a two-parter. So, because we're moving all these workers across, you might be wondering, why am I building a farmer district? Well, the farmers are located in the center of the town. So I'm going to be upgrading them into workers, and once they're upgraded and taken hold, I can get rid of the ones that we had over in Swords. I don't know if I said that quite correct, but hopefully you get the idea. Anyways, you pretty much see me build this whole town now up from scratch. The idea being now just to fill the place in with ornaments, some natural ornaments. I always like to use the bright harvest ones. Trying to also fit with the theme of this place as well. I've dotted around a lot of apple orchards and also a lot of wood piles. It's just a personal thing for me, I guess, but because we have a lot of orchards and a lot of hunting cabins, it just seemed to me a lot of wood would make sense as ornaments for these guys. So this is kind of an interesting thing around the town hall. I built a little pathway that leads in and around it back to the marketplace. Dotted a few trees in and around it, signposts to let people know where this cut through takes them. And then line that up with the marketplace as best as I can. Of course, it doesn't perfectly line up with the center. Sorry, my volume on this music is super loud. I'll have to tone it down for you guys afterwards. Then I've got a newsstand next to the kind of town hall and for the next to the market. I feel like it's a good place for it. And then I was dotting around some cherry trees and the white cherry tree variant that came with the High Life. The white cherry tree, as I mentioned, I think a little bit later actually, doesn't have grass at the base of it, whereas all the other ones do. So I feel like that's just a little bug or something at the moment, but I still use it nonetheless. It looks good just to break up the city. Now, every now and then, you'll see me going a little quiet, just when there's, not much to talk about, when you can just see the ornaments I'm placing. You can also see me deleting the old houses back at Swords. All I'm doing when I'm doing that is keeping an eye on the top of the screen, making sure the workforce doesn't collapse. As long as we keep that worker workforce high, it's fine. We can get rid of as many houses as we want, because of course we've shared all the workforces with commuter peers. So again, just placing around some farmer ornaments where it makes sense in these little gaps and these little blocks. Like to keep it. A lot of people often comment as well that they'd like to see more paved roads. I was in the New World building the orchards and people were like, oh, put down paved roads. It'd be better. And while it is, I just, aesthetically, I prefer dirt roads, especially for the lower classes like farmers and workers, where I can. But then once you start getting to artisans, it doesn't look right, so I put down paved roads. It's the same with farms. It's like, it just looks a bit odd to me. But if you're playing peak efficiency, I mean, you're 100 episodes in, guys. You should know by now. Most things I do aesthetics first and optimization second. And I'll talk about it, I think, a little later in this episode. How it's actually fun to create these challenges for yourself by being somewhat suboptimal. But I won't be redundant to mention that twice. So with the market here, or sorry, the pub here, I was trying to think like, oh, it'd be really nice to use the amusement park pack ornaments for bar tables, but of course the bottom of them is that white tile paving, so I decided to white tile pave the entire thing just around this area outside of the town hall, because it's like, okay, the town hall has some built-up roads, it has a bit more attention to detail in and around it, and then the further you get from the town hall, that's when the roads start to stop being paved, and so on and so forth. I actually just hit a milestone there. We hit 12,000, sorry, I think it was, I could be wrong, I think it's 12,000 attractiveness, giving us level 4 in the prestige level, which gives us plus 16 productivity, I think, for trade unions. Pretty strong. It might be 8. I'm trying to remember if it's the Department of Labor or not that gives you that. But we have plus 16 on the island anyway, that's for sure. And also a bunch of other benefits. So I decided to place down a Docklands, got rid of the old piers, added some new ones that are much faster at loading and unloading, so that sped up traffic quite a bit. By the way, after this time-lapse, I will go through some of these towns and have a closer look at them. I actually think I forgot to go through... I'm recording this after I've played the episode, or done the episode. I think I forgot to go through the second town I built, which we'll get to in a moment. So, and I'll show you the items that I'm using as well. At this trade union, up on the top left of the island, connecting as many fur cabins as I can. Now, I decided, I don't know if I've done it just yet, but decided to put down a local department and use the production wing or whatever, production department of the local department so that we can boost trade unions to have 4 slots rather than 3, and that allowed me to put in an extra item here that gave me increased forest density up to 50%, which meant that I could slam about 8 of those things in there together. So I haven't even added as many in as I wanted to yet. Now I'm sure those of you who are crazy optimal and max efficiency out there could probably get even more, or get them in a more orderly and nice grid. But I thought it worked pretty well for the area I was placing it. A lot of the fur cabins you can see are spilling over into the edges of cliffs, so you could definitely get more in there because I'm wasting some grid space that way. But they all end up on 100% productivity, and way more than that. I think I got them up to 270 actually, efficiency. Yeah, 270, so not bad. It meant we can get rid of a lot of those other hunting cabins. But it does mean, as you can see, I'm draining my influence like crazy, building all these trade unions, town halls, using propaganda, and then I was getting rid of some of the investor households as well. So it's a quick way to burn through 100 influence. So this is the second little farmer district I'm going with. This one isn't going to have a town hall. This is just a more regular one. And I thought it'd be nice to have them up next to the hunting cabins where I like to think these guys all work. So they've got a lot of the wood-piled ornaments around there, all next to the sort of forests that they're bordering. And I was just testing out a few different things, like adding grass or not. Just trying to figure out what looked good. I was using some of the orchards as well, of course. And I like this little district as well. Another cliffside farmer district. And then just off to the side where the supply warehouses are is where the market goes. And then just across from that's the pub. I decided this pub should have a bit of a beer garden. It has a lot of space out the back of it. So I added in some chairs and some seating. A little pathway and a statue. Some grass across the whole way. Seems like they have a nice view of the ocean while you're sipping on their beer, or their schnapps really. Looking forward to there's still another DLC to come, which is apparently, damn, after forgetting the name, I just read it yesterday, but it's like another sort of, I think it's like something living pack. It's like, again, just more ornaments, more DLC cosmetic ornaments for everyday life type thing. So oh, in some ways I dread to think about going through the town and adding all these different bits and pieces in there, but I look forward to it at the same time to see what it's going to arrive with. Love me some ornaments. The thing I'm holding out hope for is eventually getting an overhaul that lets you change the base of every ornament. From either just the ones that have like white tiles or grass, just let me change them so I can switch them between them. So, in between the two supply warehouses here in the market, I thought it'd be nice to make use of some of the sewer pipelines or whatever, sewer canals. Because it seemed to make sense to me, like at the back of the supply warehouse, maybe that's where a lot of wastage goes. Obviously, this is all hunting cabins, maybe. I don't know what they'd be throwing in there, but some leftover bits. Although, ideally, you wouldn't be wasting anything. Creates like rotted meat and then filth it flows out towards the edges of the cliffs. Love this music, the in-basin music. We're just over halfway through the time-lapse now, so now resin is the next point of focus. So resin is something we were short on globally to produce, and I largely produced it here, but I did produce it on one other island as well. So I decided to grab another trade union, try to round it out with as many orchards as possible and keep it within reach of that local department so we could squeeze 4 items out of it. And I ended up using the gold medal that we got from the High Life Skyline Tower. So in building the tower as well as we did, we got the gold medal, which gives us 75% productivity on all orchards or assembly lines or artisan workshops, I think, and chemical plants. So it's one of those 4. I mean, you could actually bundle them all together if you wanted to. But I've chosen to double down on the orchards, and that way we can really bang out a lot of resin here. And then the other ones I've used is the regular orchard kind of items that we had over in the New World. So we end up producing a byproduct of sugar and citrus, I think, with various items that we've got on the go at the moment, which will lead me to discuss in the next episode, a bit of a spoiler, because I've actually recorded the next one now as well, that I'll be using... Actually, I think I talked about it in this episode, hotels and restaurants. And that way, with the extra citrus and the extra sugar, you can get some recipes pretty much for free because we already produce things like fish and potatoes and stuff like that. So we're able to get some basic recipes up and running that will allow us to greatly enhance the consumption, or greatly reduce the consumption of bread and other things like that, like beer and stuff like that. So it'll be really good. Alright, so that's it. There's all the resin. Again, in the episode, I'll show you all the items in there. So don't worry about losing out. But I think the productivity of those, if I'm not mistaken, is up around 200. It's not as high as the hunting cabin, but it's pretty good nonetheless. Some of those items, of course, do require you to have more workforce. So they actually are a strain on your workforce. So I decided to have a canal go through the island, straight through the middle as a sort of a... I don't even know what shape that is, like an S shape. From point to point. But I was kind of figuring it out, and I end up redoing it a bit. So this ends up being a bit redundant, but I thought I would just talk about some of the ideas that I had for it anyway. I didn't know at the time of making the time lapse that it would be. Only throughout the next episode, I start to reconfigure this area to be a little bit better. And I'm actually really, really happy by the end of the next episode of what I end up with. This one is, I'm just going to warn you, this episode is trial and error, the episode. Maybe I'll call it that. Because I was really just trying to figure out what would look good here. And then the next one, I really come into my stride with a good idea of how to get the canals and housing in and around it. But the idea is with, a local department like that, having some hotels alongside it looks really nice. So that's kind of why I wanted to have this kind of nicer look and feel to the place. So we've done it many times before, having a kind of a rundown worker area, and some people were saying like add sewers to the workers. We might do that in different places, but here I actually want it to be a bit more, because it has that authority of the local department, a bit more of an upper class feel to it, even though it is just workers with canals and nice ornaments, but nothing too crazy. Not like giant fountains and all sorts of esplanades and not ruins, but arches and stuff. Nothing too crazy, but at least a little mark of like, yeah, this is a middle upper class town with their lovely canals. And then as you get further away from the department, then we can have less ornaments, less of these nicer things, and it might add in the odd artisan household, maybe, if I feel like it's easy enough to maintain full population with them. So one of the things I like about the canals is they do look pretty good no matter what you put next to them. So putting them next to the church, putting them next to a marketplace, they actually look quite nice. Oh, by the way, people told me that woman that we saw in the last episode wasn't a farmer, but she's actually from the campaign. I haven't actually played the campaign, so that's why I didn't recognize her. That kind of makes a bit more sense, though. All right, just about a minute to go. So I was basically, these are going to be workers. They're going to, the intention was to upgrade them. And I was just a bit short on material for upgrades. I ran out of bricks and glass, and very low on wood. So I was kind of waiting for different things to come in. I'm actually really happy with how this turned out, but I do end up kind of changing it. But I keep some of the core. I like the way the church looks next to the marketplace, and then we have like got the new market pavilion thing, as well as a bridge crossing. I end up keeping all that, just rotating it to fit in a different place. And there we go. That's basically it for having our little canal system go in and around. One thing I'm a bit unsure of is whether the canals should loop around and reconnect to themselves. I should probably look it up online and see what canals really look like, because I'm not too familiar like with how they link to each other. Is it just one way in, or does it go one way in and one way out together? Do they loop? I'll have to figure that out, because I've never really thought about it. I've been to towns with canals, but I've obviously never tracked them the whole way. Anyways, but in the old Halloween statue, or billboard, it is October after all. And that's really going to be it for this time-lapse. Alright, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the new and improved, or rather very much in progress, island of Rush. So at the moment, there is just workers and farmers living on this island, and we have not yet met all their demands. We need bread, we need soap, and there's obviously various amounts of layouts and things that we have to sort out. The only areas that I would say are kind of semi-done at the moment will be this little farming village down here on the coast, and the other one up here, which is next to all those fur hunting cabins, as well as all the different resin orchards that we have. So I haven't actually really looked at the statistics screen too much to see how we're doing in terms of output versus demand and everything, especially on a global level, and I haven't redrawn any of the trade routes. So it felt like at this point we've got a lot that we can do. So I didn't really want to time-lapse it anymore. A lot of people, or a few people in the comments were saying like, you know, you don't have to time-lapse everything. It's still fun to see how we overhaul islands and we squeeze the most out of them, and of course, you're correct. There's still lots of gameplay in this series yet to kind of really get things running and looking nice. So one of the things I was thinking of doing in this episode, and I think I will try my hand at it, is actually adding tourists to this island and having a couple of hotels and then some restaurants, because I was looking through the different recipes for the restaurants, and we have stuff like the eclair, the frites, and the daiquiri for the bar, and all of these things reduce needs for workers. So I was thinking like it'd be a fun kind of mini challenge as well to reduce the amount of bread, sausages, and fish that these guys consume. Not that we desperately have to, but why not try it? It's kind of fun to try that kind of challenge. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do. So this area here is largely, is ripe for the taking and moving around. This area, of course, I had it in the time-lapse, and I do like it, but now the thought that's come to me with it, which is adding hotels, this is probably going to be redone somewhat, or at least moved around. But I do like the idea of, you know, it's a pretty common idea to have a kind of a rundown worker district, but I kind of like the idea of having a nice worker district to some extent. Like, they don't blend that well, but it's not that out of place either, I guess you could say. Especially when you've got stuff like this building here. You know, this palatial building with a couple of hotels either side of it, I think could look really cool. And then we could have restaurants and things dotted around the town, and try to make a nice living quarters for some workers. And then maybe if we get further out from that, the ones that aren't covered by those amenities, if we get that big, they could have some sewers running through them and so on and so forth, because we've got a big canal running through at the moment. Anyway, that's the kind of plan. So I think one of the first things I'm going to have to do to get this all started is, wow, it's the skyline music, I guess, the tower music. Let's have a look at the tower again. Yes! Triumphant! And of course I've got a few of the high life monuments just dotted around here in this empty space, just temporary to throw it down really quickly. Actually, while we're over here, people did mention that the various shopping arcades do not need to be all within range of the skyline tower. They just need to be on the island. So it is possible then to squeeze 15 of these across the island. I think I could manage that. We'd need more artisans though. And people were saying that you could make this area more of a tourist-focused plateau with some extra artisans around the cliffs and things. And I actually really like that idea, so I might give that a shot as well. And that way the tourist buildings would actually be amongst the tallest out here, and it wouldn't look so weird, kind of being enveloped by all these skylines. Sorry, all skyscrapers. So anyway, that's the plans. As you can see, Swords has been decimated, and people are just uprooting and leaving. I could have kept the houses there, but I didn't really feel the need to. So a lot of problems, a lot of logistical problems to sort out. Like I said, I haven't redirected any of the routes, like bread or anything like that over here. So we're going to be working from scratch to get our workers and our farmers up to snuff and up to speed. So let's begin. Actually, just really quickly, let's check what's going on in the warnings. I haven't really gone through these in a while. Arthur is obviously buying our stuff as usual. Oh no, we cannot afford the renovation because we are out of steel. I'll have to sort that out. I think my free ship is here. Yeah, so I'm just gonna I'll grab steel from over here. We've got lots in this island. Actually, we have lots of windows here. I noticed that we're very short on windows on Rush, and we're gonna need them if we want to do some of those upgrades, especially if we want to put down hotels and see what those guys need. So construction material is short across the entire empire, as it were. Alright, let's grab ourselves some steel. I'm actually really excited now that the DLC is kind of over. I don't know if excited is the right word, but I'm looking forward to the next few episodes, because it is just going to be about like making things look good and trying to have things run a little bit better while making them look good. It's a fun challenge, at least for me, to try to... It's like, okay, you don't necessarily need hotels on this, but the idea that it's like, oh, it would look nice, it would fit in with the palace, so then it's like, okay, we'll create a bunch of challenge around that, trying to figure out if you want something to look good by putting buildings where they shouldn't be, then you have to figure out the logistics to get them up and running well. So it kind of creates your own problem, I suppose, but it's kind of a fun problem nevertheless to solve. And then I'm always straddling the line between efficiency and beauty. So I thought we'd have a little zoom in and have a look at what we've got in these different places really quickly. So in the trade union, over by all the fur cabins, we have Ursula Green, Guardian of the Forests. We have the Teutonic Technical Secateurs, the Maimer of Mustelids, and then our fourth item is the Druid's Sickle. So that's improving forest density by 10, 30, and then 20. So 50% forest density has allowed me to squeeze a ridiculous amount of these in here, to be honest. I don't even know if... We could probably get even more. It doesn't seem like it really hurts, especially if we're in the center there. But we'll just leave it. I'm happy enough with it. And I didn't want it to be a perfect circle around it either. I wanted it to be kind of offset and weird. Just because I think it looks a bit better that way, even though it is kind of strange. Maybe we could turn some of these buildings to make them look a bit more appropriate. But anyway, I'll leave it. I'll get too bogged down in that. The next one over then is the resin. So here we've got the interspecies grafting, which is providing... Sorry, I should also check here. We're currently up to 276 efficiency with those items as well. So they do various other things, of course, also. So for resin, I noticed we were behind on resin. So it seemed to make sense to dump it down onto the island of Rush, where we're going to have an excess of workers and farmers. Of course, farmers being the people that work inside of these things. And then with the various orchard items that we have, and now our new gold performance medal that we got for completing the Skyline Tower, we're able to then buff the orchards, get some extra citrus back. We're able to get the extra forest density and more productivity, as well as extra sugar, and then productivity 75%. So another reason I wanted to add restaurants and hotels is because when I was looking through the recipes, I saw that there's a bunch of recipes that actually use citrus and they use sugar that improve workers' demands. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. You know, we make some of these odd excess goods on this island because of these items, so it kind of works really well. Now, if you're wondering, and I didn't explain, I'm sure I've talked through this stuff on the time-lapse, which obviously I've yet to record. I actually do that at the end of the episode. Try not to repeat myself too much. But the reason we have a fourth item in these trade unions is because we have our local department here activated for the Department of Labor, giving us a 16% productivity bonus just to the entire island. And then also all trade unions in range. So that's why I have it so far up here. It's because to get this in range, it had to be all the way up here, really. It gives us an additional socket. So all of the... I actually just thought about that. As many of the trade or worker buildings as we can really should be up here. So maybe this kind of living quarters area needs to be pushed down slightly, maybe. Although we do have decent range, especially if we paved the roads. We could probably get down to about here. But of course, this stuff is going to move and change locations somewhat, and we'll change where the orchards and cherry orchards go. All right, so let's actually get into it instead of just talking about it. I think I've basically shown everything. I'll be making extra ships just because I know that I'm going to have to do some sort of trade routes. which I guess would be one of the first things we figure out. So let's see. So they have, let's just check consumer goods just on this island. They've got enough fish coming in. They don't make any of their own schnapps. They make their own work clothes, quite a lot actually. They don't make their own sausages, bread, or soap. They have no beer for themselves either, but they do make their own jam. And that's it. That's all the consumer. This is consumer goods for the entire workforce here, because that music is, why is it playing the same song over and over? It's the third time it's played it. Are we going to have Dockland syndrome again, where it just plays Dockland's main tune over and over? There we go. I really wish there was a music player in this. People probably don't know this little mini behind the scenes. Is that I often try to start episodes with some sort of music that's uplifting and upbeat to get me going. And to also, usually I try to get it if it's a DLC song. And the way I have to start episodes, I have to flick between regions until the right song comes on. And then do my intro and be like, here we go guys, it's the High Life DLC. But my god, it takes a while. Especially if you don't want the Docklands theme to come up. That often just pops up over and over again. There we go, we've got another tourism soundtrack on right now. Anyway, nobody cares if I do that, but it's just something I do. Alright, so let's have a look at trade routes then. Oh, there's another thing. With the resin coming off here, I think what I'll do, and people have mentioned this, is why don't you have one route? So I gotta address this comment because it comes up many times over in the series, and I can assume that if one or two people are dropping this comment, that more people who view and don't write anything are wondering the same thing, which is, why do I combine routes where we've got lots of things on one route? The main reason, for instance here, right, so on this route, we're picking up all sorts of different things. The main reason I do that is because I'm low on influence, so I can't just create more and more ships to each have their own bespoke routes. Now I understand when you've got a route like this where there's maybe 3 ships, it doesn't quite make sense, but it can sometimes. Like for instance, if you need more cherry wood, but you don't need that much of the other things, adding more ships speeds that process up. It's no hindrance to the other goods, but it will deliver the one that you're overproducing faster. Instead of making, I guess you could maybe make, yeah, even just making one route with one thing, then you still might need 2 ships. So it just depends, I guess. I don't think there's like a perfect answer. Obviously, in an ideal world, you have every ship doing one good, and that would be nice. But I never have all the influence for that. At least me personally, I don't. And some people were tweeting me, where they were saying that they were watching my series and that they had like nearly 1 million population. I was like, God damn, you know, I'm just not that good of a player. You know, I try to focus on aesthetics a lot. But even then, it's just not something I enjoy really squeezing, like studying numbers a lot or looking at like the optimal layouts. I see every now and then people post to me and they show me, for instance, stuff like this trade union, and they'll show you like what items you need in the perfect layout to get the most out of all these things. I see that stuff, you know. I just don't want to get involved with that. I'm good. But hopefully that kind of, and I'm not complaining. I like when people tell me these things. It's fine. So I don't want to sound ungrateful from its voyage, because it's not at all the case. But just because I do see that comment a lot, why do you have like 3 ships doing 3 different things and stuff? And that's my logic. Maybe I'm not right with it, but that's why. But we're gonna change it now because we do put out so much resin on this island, for instance. Now it definitely deserves its own route, a resin route that can just pick it up from the 2 various islands and take it back to Lusk and anywhere else it needs to go. So that's kind of why. All right, and it's been great because it's saved me a ton of influence in the past. It does work quite well. Especially the very last one I'll just mention, especially the ones that it's like you're just bringing in all the engineer goods into an island. I don't think I need to bring these in separately on different ships. Their consumption rates are largely the same, so doubling them up on the same ship, and you don't make that much of them, I don't. So doubling them up on the same route is actually really good, I think. I think so. Can't see why. Like, imagine having 6 ships for all that. There's no reason you'd need that. There's no way, because I don't make 300 tons of souvenirs or lemonade or shampoo in the time it takes to go from there to there. So that would be a logical reason why you would definitely have 2 different goods on the same route, at least there. Anyway, hope that kind of makes sense. All right, so resin route. Let's make a new one. We'll just get the Ave Maria. We'll go from Rush. I think we make resin down here and then over to there. So it's a raw material, 700, just maxed out. There we go. Unload. And if we can ever bring something back, I'll try to do that as well. But for now we're just gonna call this. I'll just call it Resin, I suppose. Resin route. Keep it in the old world. I have to see how I've named my routes. I often forget. Old world. Copper collection. Yeah, the other thing is we're not even using... I've been taking in brass through Docklands. I'm pretty sure we have no need for copper or zinc now. In, like, almost anything. So that can all be redone also. Anyways, this can be removed. What the hell's just going on? I just right-clicked there and it went away from the middle. That's weird. How weird is that? That's a strange bug. So cancel, clicking again. I'm hovering right over here, as we can see. Right click, and it gets rid of the cherry wood. Strange. I don't know why that's happening. Bizarre. Well, I'll just keep it as cherry wood for now. What does malahide even do? Did it get rid of everything from malahide? Okay, I'm confused, so I'm just going to leave that for a sec. So this route is full up on resin. So we'll call it resin import. So we're importing it into Lusk. Oh, I didn't mean to drop it off, actually. That was a mistake. There we go. Nice. Okay, so that's one of the first things we can clean up. So I guess the next thing then is on the Rush to Lusk. Oh, it's called Rush to Lusk. Okay, I might have to rename these. The next thing then, I'm just going to get rid of these things, and I'm going to see where things go wrong, and we'll make new routes. So I'm just going to delete this route completely. And we'll feel it out. When things start to go wrong, then I'll be able to understand a bit better. Now, Rush to Lusk sausages again. So I'm going to delete that route also, and make a new one just for fur, because we make a huge amount of fur now on Rush. So again, I think that just needs to go here. Load up on fur, which is an agricultural material. Done. Add a ship to it. Unload. And pop it in the old world. Now, I'll just accept that, but then I obviously have to just change something really quickly. Just toss those sausages overboard. It's quite a waste, I know. Maybe I can pick it up with another ship real quick.
Engines underway.
And we'll drop it off. Okay, so that means now we've at least set up some exports, right? So Rush, as an island, makes a huge amount of resin and fur. And now I've just set up 2 routes to basically take all this stuff off the island. Now, our total storage on the island is 700. Not that much, but we've got docklands now, so we've got rooms for depots, bigger depots. We used to get the limestone from here and copper, but I've just largely gotten rid of them because we don't need them. They don't do anything. We could also power this place, I guess, if we wanted to. Do these operate on power? No, the orchards. The fur? No. So that's fine having that away from power. Maybe down here, though, we could power some of these things. Fisheries don't get power either. Oh, I thought they did. Alright. So the next one then would be maybe, I guess, jam and cherry wood. Give that its own roots as well. And then that might be it for in terms of what we really produce from here. Everything else is going to be coming in, I think, largely. And of course, everything is goes into Lusk. Or, sorry, yeah, into Lusk. So there's jam. And then gets redistributed from that island around. Okay. I know it's a bit tedious, but it'll all hopefully start to make sense. Rush to list 3. Might call it rush to list, like, I guess numbering is actually a bit better. Again, just gonna dump those clothes back in if we can, speed it up. Alrighty, boom. That's as much as I can get in there, so we'll just hit play. So those work clothes, I do believe, get taken around, like, everywhere. So it's quite important to make sure we set up a route where it's going back to swords now, although it probably won't need to. These guys don't use work clothes, so ideally we can let these guys just not have clothes or sausages. They don't need sausages either, right? Oh, they do? Okay. So it's just from here down. Sausages and fish don't ever have to come into this island. In theory. Nice. And I guess once we get the material together, we can then
Bring her around.
build our hotel and start to think about placement of and production chains and trade routes of the various recipes. So we'll get the construction material for, I think, windows. We'll probably have a lot over on swords because we really don't have much here. Let's just grab some concrete, maybe some steel, some bricks. We're going to use all that, I'm sure. Bring that up.
Carry her about.
Now, I just remembered as well, in the Arctic we have to deliver our
Light path plotted.
steel beams. Okay. And currently we have an excess workforce, so there's no shortfall or anything, so we're doing fine. So what I was thinking is the tourism maybe could come over here. Somewhere like that, public mooring. And then that needs to be upgraded, so we'll need more windows.
Begin the turn.
Yeah, there's 1,000 windows over here, so we'll just pick them up and bring them straight across. Nice. So just to recap, because I feel like I got a little bit bogged down those routes there for a second. So just to recap, we've deleted most of the routes coming out of here. We've changed it so that now cherry wood and jam are their own export routes, as well as resin and furs. So this is a very organic, natural kind of island, I guess, making its own stuff and sending it out there. Then we're also then changing some of the trade routes so that we're not sending stuff to swords anymore for the workers. That doesn't need to go there anymore. And at the same time, we want to build up now for tourists by delivering a bunch of construction material that we're going to need for it. Whoops.
Bring her around.
And that's the situation. I remember leaving this here because I was thinking originally like I could do the... I think there's a category, right, that gives you a benefit to all farms or something. Or maybe the output of fur cabins and stuff like that, I think. Can't remember what it is, but it's a zoo, 3 different animals that combine to give you complete a set. I guess I could check over here maybe really quickly and see which one it was. Attractiveness, inspiration. It's a shame it doesn't still tell you after you found out what it was, because I don't actually... it'll take me too long putting in different animals to see which one it was. I'll have to check it in between episodes, but there's definitely one that does it. That's why I left it there. I just can't remember if it affects orchards or not. I don't think it does, unfortunately. Alright, how we doing? We're almost there. So that's that, and then our other ship is here as well.
Train.
Alright, cool. Alright, it's a tourist mooring now. And because of that, we can get our hotels. And then we'll need a bus stop. So the idea was that to have this like kind of more central.
The pier is
Something like that. Obviously, this is going to be redesigned, but something like that, and then a bus stop. Hopefully, a bus stop at the back will count as carrying all these. Now, these hotels are probably never going to be 100% fulfilled, because I don't think we're going to be fixing everything they have. Just a bus stop. There we go. Yeah, bus stop at the back here. Why not? So no bus connection to the tourist mooring. To give a second bus stop somewhere like here. Oh, actually, it needs a connection. Does it? I don't know if it has to. Yeah, it does. All right, so that works, and then the thing itself needs to connect. All right, something like that. So that's. I like the look of that, you know. And then if we extend the canal out or something, that could look kind of cool. These like kind of taller, more prestigious-looking buildings, and then we'll start giving them what they need to build up some
truly a
customers.
paradise.
So they're going to need bread as well. which is actually great because we're going to be reducing that amount. They will want a variety theater actually on the island. Interesting, considering we don't have any artisans. And then the restaurant, the cafe. So you actually do have to hit milestones. Ah, right. I forgot that. We could potentially hit 550. I don't think we're going to hit this one, which is what? Yeah, no. So we won't be having bars. We should be able to get a cafe and a restaurant. So if we just double check what those recipes were.
The cheese platter is simply divine.
So this is a restaurant, and inside the restaurant I had fish and frites written down as the thing I thought would be good to get. So potatoes, fish, and citrus. Remember, we get citrus as a byproduct from our orchards. So we'll be able to produce that on the island and then probably even get rid of some because we probably overproduce it. And that would reduce bread by 35%. The other one then was the...
Ready to go.
I'll check that in a moment. Was the eclair, I think. Actually, that's the eclair right there. But yeah, so the eclair is giving us -30 to sausages. So again, I don't know. I just thought it'd be cool. And we get sugar on the island as a byproduct as well. We'll have to bring them chocolate and flour, though. Cigars are out. Let's just get rid of that one. Everyone else is happy, though.
Anything else? Then I'll send it out.
Bum, 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 dum, ba, dum, ba, da, bum. Yeah, so I'll have to do another bit of a redesign here. Okay, so I guess the next thing then to look at would be bread. Bread seems to be short. We'll check on clothes we're fine. Sausages must be coming from somewhere else. So I'm just going to check that route really quickly. Lusk to swords. I have no idea how they're getting their sausages then, or how they were getting them. They get delivered currently to swords, which is just full up. And then I guess you'd have to deliver some of it back to Rush. Is it a crazy idea to do it this way? I almost feel like deliver it to Rush first and then drop everything else off at Swords, because that has the biggest deposit and this will fill up faster. So maybe that makes more sense. So let's just do it that way. That should sort them out for a while. Maybe not forever, but for a while. These guys then will also need a school and stuff as well. Alright, does that mean we're free to start building and thinking about where things go? Kind of. I think so. We need 120 customers to set up our first restaurant. The radius for it is huge. So we've got lots of room to do that. And then we can have the whole city. Like, you'd want it around here, because remember, this is
brings you in, master?
already covered. So if you wanted to have like a city built out around, everyone's getting that kind of benefit. Ideally, the restaurants would be like somewhere here, or like somewhere over here maybe, and here. So that's the same for that, and then the cafe is the same as well. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And then we can figure out where the kind of different things go.
Crops are spinning.
Just fix these gas mines.
Airship.
Cool. And we need to find out the bigger role that Crown Farms is going to play within the entire logistics network. Alright, so let's start making this place look nice. I thought we'd just do it during the episode. So, let's just pop down everything we know we're going to need. We're going to need a variety theater somewhere. We're going to need a school, or another one. I guess a fire station, police station would make sense. We'll also need a pub. Okay, so they'll need all these things. Anything
It's
else?
a poor host who can't provide for their guests.
You're taking fur coats. They'll probably never be like super happy. We'll just have to accept that at some point. Alright, let's get building then, until I can think of what else we need. And actually, just while I'm waiting, we should queue up some construction material, maybe. Let's just throw that overboard, it's fine. So I'm just going to station all my idle ships out here. And then we'll pick up as much construction material as we can and then bring it back. Alright, cool. So the idea I have, anyway, is to have some nice canals coming up and down. This can't really move any further over. Ah, look, we're after losing the benefit here. We might have to move it even further left. Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. Let's cut this road. So let's see, would it be crazy to have a road in the center? I kind of like the idea of it just going straight into the canals like that, but I think maybe a road makes more sense. It does reach. That's as good as we can get it, really. Okay, fair enough. Cool. Alright, let's just connect this road up just some way so it's not disconnected from everything, and it's actually still disconnected. Let's just use this then. Alright. Alright, let's begin. So, basically going to do this, but not in a time lapse, or like let you know. Well, basically build it right in front of you and say like what I'm thinking, how I'm trying to do things. I generally want a canal to kind of come through this area. This area can kind of move around a bit though. I think a canal that goes too wide is usually pretty good as well. So we'll try to do that. Now I don't know. Do I want it to go all the way up to the edge here and have a road come across like this? A road can come across 2. It can't go across 3 though.
Mary, the decency to tip his
Or we could have the canal push right up against that and have the road come in. If that makes sense. So we do it the other way. Something like that, and then go there. And instead the road would go more like this. So you'd have a straight... That actually looks pretty cool, I think. So maybe leave it like that. Then the question is, have we given ourselves enough road here? It's a shame you can't do 2 bridges right next to each other. It would have to be more like that. So let's see, does that reach... Ah, you're killing me. Because it has to come down, left, up, across. So how short are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't really get that much further over though. I don't know if I can do the canal that way then. Unless actually I bring the road out the back. That might do it, right? Does that help? It does. Okay. Okay, well that still works. So basically just in here, that's gotten rid of that item, so I have to pop it back in. Same with this one.
Your ship has returned from its voyage.
We could have it somewhere down here if we wanted to. That would still hit everything.
There's a
That might make
charitable
more
heart
sense.
in there. I'm sure of it.
Alright, cool. Oh no! The hotel has collapsed. figure that out in a bit. Last time I did this, by the way, the game crashed. Please don't crash. Good. Alright, it's a bit of a work in progress, but it's getting better. It's getting better for sure.
What did you say it was embroidered?
Can't afford the construction. 95 bricks. Man, we built a lot already. So let's gather as much bricks as we can then. Ship them up.
Bring her around.
Actually, you just stay there for a sec.
Cargo boat at the ready.
What else do we need? We're very short on windows. We can find some while we're up there.
Escort commencing.
Alright, so it's a bunch of ships following this one now. This can lead to charge. Bring that stuff back home. Alright, cool. Doesn't seem like anything crazy is happening while all this is going on anyway. He says as the entire town is cut off from its road network. Alright, anyway. So, I think... I'm just trying to think, is the bus stop good enough like this, or could I bring it down even further? It's hard to say. It's kind of sticky, so it's tough to show. Don't think so. Not if it's going to be in the center.
You want to run?
Oh yeah, okay. Alright, cool. We can have some stuff around that, like, that makes it look a little bit better. Some ornate as well. Definitely kind of, what do you call it? Regal and royal ornaments, I guess. Let's see, what do we have in the investor category? We have the spotlights, actually, which could be kind of cool. And that could hit up against the hotels as well. And then you can obviously change it so it just sticks one way. So this one is aimed much higher, the small spotlight. This one's aimed much lower. And you could have it, does it hit the town, the building from here? No. And we can't push them back any further. Could push the hotel back, but I don't want to. I like the way it looks. Oh, interesting. You could brighten it up that way.
I can appreciate the art of others.
I don't know if that looks weird or not. Might look cool. Depends though, we'll have to see. The other thing then is the, oh yeah, the nice fountains that can like run alongside and stuff, or run in front. That's always cool. Let's keep this going like that. So I think it makes sense to have the road cut across that way. Let's connect this one. Nice. So just temporarily, let's just fill this with the tiling, and then I know I can just put stuff down a bit later. So the canal is currently just... Let's just attach that across. So the canal starts here, comes up, goes across, and then leads its way out to the other side of the shore. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Although the problem is you needed to... Ah, it sucks actually the way it's coming in.
The cherry atop our beautiful friendship cake. Why
Thank
so
you, Venti.
mean?
So basically, my thought here is, it's nice that the canal comes out that way. I'd kind of like it not to have to bend again, although I guess it's not that big of a deal if it does. I want it to be able to push up against this kind of area, you know, like the clay roads, the key roads rather, and then that way I can have this tucked in here. The reason being, if you've got a single canal, it looks like it's feeding out. So I like that, you know, it's just thematically for me, it's like, yep, that's going out to the sea or something like that, you know? Whereas I can't have it do that up against here. It can't go that far. I could have the road stick out, sorry, yeah. Could have the road stick out there, but it can't stick out here. So it won't look right. Let me just see what it would look like, I guess. It would have to be like that. That sort of thing. Which kind of sucks, to be honest. I don't really want to do it that way. Maybe we could use an artisan Docklands ornament here. What would work? Yeah, I don't know. I think I might actually just have to, at some point, turn it down this way and maybe on the other side of the town, actually. So yeah, I guess we'll turn it down that way and then we'll make it work with the coast over there somewhere. Makes more sense that way. Alright, this has been cut off as well. My bad. Hook them back up. Are we all hooked up? Most of the stuff is. Alright, cool. Anyway. Right, let's start putting down some houses and all these different amenity buildings that they're going to need. Can't afford the action. What happened to these people? Is it because the road got disconnected? Or is it worse than that? Over all these things. Alright, we got plenty of construction material now. Boom. This is why I do these things in time lapse. I feel like I slow down like so much and I'm just making decisions, you know, I don't really know. But anyway, let's renovate these. Hopefully... Oh, maybe because the bus stop didn't have a route. Ah, okay. That's what it was. So there you go. They should stay up now as long as I don't delete that. So I'll try to avoid doing that. Alright, so let me think. The church is a pretty big, you know, what's the word? Center point of the city. So I kind of have to decide where that's going to go and look good. I guess the city is sort of, the focal point of it is kind of this local department and then 2 hotels. This canal probably ends most of where the city is, so I don't mind having some of it come out here. And then a lot of it's going to go out that way. Alright, so I don't need this. I could bring the canal down somewhere else. This needs to be covered as well. And then we have a school, a pub, and the marketplace. So I actually like the marketplace generally how I've done it, and I like the fact that it's next to the church. I might keep this kind of general layout, but maybe just push it down somewhere. So let me just copy that and use a blueprint. And I'll copy that back and use it again later. So let's just move these out of the way. Let's move that out of the way. And then the rest can just be deleted. Okay. And then obviously then actually as well, the restaurants. We're going to need those. So a restaurant. And a cafe. So those 2 things are going to be needed somewhere. Alright, so that's pretty much it. We can get to work with this now. I would also say...
We're taking every care.
I would have liked the canal to... Damn it. It's just because I have to go so over to the left. The canal would have been nice if it was on the other side of the road. But I guess it's not that big of a deal. The only thing I'm thinking is like, well, it would be nice if it kind of mirrored that side. I like things when they're offset, but it would make sense if it kind of came down this way, just for this kind of regal style area. I mean, there's no reason to say why not have it come off both ends. It's fine, I suppose. But I was saying I was going to shift this around anyway, so... Alright, if we're going to mirror that side somewhat, we'd have it come down from here, wouldn't we? Something like that. Because there's one gap, and then a road, and then the road. Oh, sorry, actually. God, I'm an idiot. Yeah, and it juts out one. That's it.
I shall not permit Michael back.
Right, cool. Something like that. Now this canal then can switch out and hit the coast that way at some point. So that would make it a bit more offset. It doesn't have to come all the way down evenly to this side. That'd look a bit weird. It's more like it serves the town's needs. So it comes in at a certain angle, it goes out at a certain angle, and that's fine. It would be kind of nice to have this surrounded by a canal. Let's see how that would look. But because you can't have a road in the center, what you'd have to do is have a road go either side. Which is exactly what I didn't want to do. Excuse me. God damn it. Ugh. Alright. It would have to look something like that. I don't know. That looks a bit weird to me. Although it looks cool on the sides. Maybe just get rid of that center point then. So that would just get rid of the bridges, does it? Hmm. Those bridges kind of look cool. But yeah, adding more road gets rid of it. Okay. It's such a shame I just couldn't have that. Like, I can't have just one big bridge across. You know, I can't. You're not allowed to do that. You can't have two roads touching each other, two bridges touching each other like that. It would also look nice if the canal came forward and we had bridges crossing over. So sorry to keep experimenting here, but I want to see what this would look like. So we have our pedestrian bridges like this. What if the canal was to come down this way, cut across, go up? Two is a bit strange, I think. Alright, well, just getting a feel for it, seeing what looks good. Gotta do something with these houses before they start destroying themselves. And I was also thinking, do we need a town hall up this way? I think one of them would be nice, because we'll probably get some influence back later, so... And we're destroying town halls over here. Alright, let's just commit to something, see how it looks, and then change it around if we have to. So let's start getting some houses dotted in and around this place. Is that crazy to have these right next to the hotel? I feel like it is. Oh man, I gotta make decisions. This is why I do it all of the time lapse. But this is why it takes me so long, because I'm just so indecisive. I don't know what looks good until I do it, you know? And then I'm like, yeah, this is it. Because I'm also thinking like, well, would it make more sense to have this like at the front here? Next, covered by the same bus stop. They're all close by. They're able to get to what they need to, gives their needs. They're able to bring up some bread. Actually, forgot to do the bread route, which is a mistake. That kind of makes sense to me. And maybe we could have it face the other way, so the red carpet's facing towards the hotels and stuff. Just like that, something like that for now.
Hey, you have a smudge on your cheek.
You have a smudge on your cheek. Maybe a town hall somewhere around the other side of that as well. That kind of lines up pretty well. Maybe then the church. Also facing that way, I guess. When you orientate the camera correctly, this is actually where it faces anyway. Facing the sun. Then we need a market also as well. So we'd have to get that in there. Oh yeah, the market and the church I had together, of course. So if that church was there, how would it look like this? Yeah, it's kind of cool. That'd be across from the town hall. It's our little market district. Maybe the school could go somewhere on the opposite side of that, somewhere over to the right. We'll clear some road space there for it, maybe. Or even over here would be cool. Gotta figure out the police stations. And the hospital, actually, is the other thing I would have forgotten. Another hospital. Yeah, hospital needs to go somewhere up here. Alright. So I'm thinking this is a bit too close to the hotel, but maybe after that first canal or something. And then we've got the restaurants that can go in somewhere like around down here. Do restaurants affect the hotels? I would assume so. Well, I know that they, you know, I mean, do they affect the, like, what they eat? I don't think so, actually, no. Because they don't have the modifier icon on them. Okay. Alright, it's kind of taking shape. It'll make sense when it's done, I believe. We're starting to get a little bit of a shape to it. I like the church. I definitely like this being across from the hotels and the local department. Big variety thing, covered by the same bus stop. Again, we could extend this out further. Can't really bring that out any further without not connecting these things. Flump Lane, and then we'll have some sort of nice promenade that leads out to the public mooring. Like I said, the idea is that this area is a bit more of an upper class sort of worker area, even though it is just workers, but it's like they live in a nice place. That house in there, they're living life. And we could have a little ornaments at either side. In fact, you could also use the pedestrian pack and do clock archway, lamp archway. Probably won't do that, but you could. Kind of neat. Now these are all disconnected, are they still? There we go.
Respect your streets.
I know, yeah, I respect the streets. I'm from the hood. The canal Venetian hood. Actually, this is starting to come along. Starting to like it a bit more. But yeah, we're gonna have to figure out then a nice place for the hospital. It kind of seems like it would make sense a bit more over there. School kind of in the same place. What a mess. Alright, I hate to have to leave it there in such a dire state. But, I mean, we sorted out some trade routes, which is good. We haven't fixed everything, though. I'll have to, in the next episodes, work on bread. And then figure out a better layout for this. It's getting better, though. I like what's coming along. I'm just a little bit unsure of having, like, worker houses right across from the hotels. It's just a little bit decrepit. I wouldn't mind, because we've got lots of space in this island. I'm not trying to cram the whole thing with people or production, so we can definitely have just, like, a big open area where there's, like, seating, restaurants, whatever the case might be. And then maybe the workers in and around the variety theater and stuff. That might make a bit more sense. And then a school, and then the town will build out a bit more. And I'm just trying to think, do we need... Can you build department stores without even needing investors? You can, right?
Cover your
It requires
eyes with
artisans.
cucumber and your face with
Although they only do things that affect investors, do they? And engineers. Okay, so that... Okay. I was thinking maybe they had some effects that... Because I know they give you extra money per house and stuff. I was thinking maybe they had effects that... That music is really irritating now. It's a good song, and it was really cool when it came on, like, what it was supposed to. But now it just, like, slamming in there whenever it feels like seems so wrong. Just to have this thing not completely collapse and fall apart, let's just throw them in at the end here. So that can go. A lot of these roads are just a disaster. Alright, cool. But I do like this area. We have our market, a little market area, marketplace stall thing. Some sort of canal coming in, so we have to make room for that. Maybe I could push it up or something, actually. I'd say about there. And then that could come up 2 slots, actually, yeah. So again, have to copy and paste this. Something like that. Then we can have like kind of a wall around that, maybe? Something like that. I like it. It's starting to come along. I actually think it's starting to look, kind of take shape and look nice. Now, like I said, I wanted some houses out this way too, and a bit more organically spread out, and maybe even some farmers at the back of them, possibly. But yeah, got to make room for that then. Pub, school, hospital, restaurants, lots of stuff that needs to be fit in here. And this canal is going to come down and maybe turn this way, and then things will live alongside that too. So that's the idea. All right. I know it was a bit rambly this episode. I'll try to be a bit more focused, but like I said, I don't know the exact shape of things that I'm going for. It's trial and error. So I hope I'll be looking forward to seeing the people's feedback on that. I know it might be contentious, because I like to go into things with the plan anyway. I have a rough plan, I suppose. All right, that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, thank you very much for watching, and remember, if you want to support this series directly, you can click the join button to become a channel member. Doing so will get your name in the credits, as well as loyalty badges and emotes to use in the comments. If you don't see the join button, it means the video is being copyright claimed, but you can still join from the channel page on desktop. You can also link your account to our Discord to get a special role on there that will give you access to the Senate House and a few other perks.